We work very hard in terms of well, I guess I'll back up. I understand if you don't see a certain amount of let's call it transactional activity, and that's all you don't see. You don't see the result. You don't see another player added. You don't see the trade. You don't see the big splash signing. But our work ethic has always been high, and a lot of times, really all the time, is you have to put so much work into making sure that you don't make a mistake. Really, the easier thing to do is to see a name of interest that you've heard of, you think's been a good football player, and then you just make the call, make the move. And then you just didn't really put in all the time and efforts to find out, well, why this player is even available.
What up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Full Metal Analysis. So, some moves were made by the Lions. A lot of free agency moves were made, and I tell you what, man, get out your pitchforks and your fire because Lions fans hate Brad Holmes.
Transactional activity.
They hate him with a passion of a fiery thousand suns, man. Dog, the Brad hate has been off the chains these last couple weeks since free agency started up, man. Dog, what are your thoughts on free agency, Marcus? And why do you hate Brad Holmes?
No. This episode of Full Metal Analysis is not about me.
Transactional activity.
This episode is your floor. This is your pulpit. I want you to get up on your soapbox and tell the people why me and old Marcus over here who's been trying to tell the people. I've been trying to tell you. I've been trying to tell all of our faithful listeners for the past damn near 2 years now that this day was coming. I ain't gonna say 2 years. I'll say the past year. Why do I don't hate Brad Holmes, okay? I told you who Brad Holmes was, and you told me, and you doubled down, and you tripled down, and you told me that, well, hey, if, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. If Brad Holmes clearly sees that what he's doing is not creating a championship opportunity, surely, as he learns on the job, surely he'll know that he cannot just go into this offseason and have it be politics as usual. It's got to be something different.
Transactional activity.
Well, Bruce, let me tell you, I got it right here written down on my little paper that, lo and behold, Brad Holmes did go into this offseason, and not only is it politics as usual, not only is it status quo, he's taking it a step further. He is taking it a step further.
Transactional activity.
So, yes, I will say this, man. The moves made were nothing to get excited about. They're nothing to write home to your mom about.
Let me turn my volume up real quick.
But you know what I'm saying? It's not over, man. People are reacting to Brad Holmes like he's done. So I will say this. I'm not mad at the moves that Brad Holmes made in free agency. It's about what I expected. You asked me what I thought he would do, and we were both on the same page about it. We knew he wasn't going to do anything to get excited about. So all these people who thought that he was going to go out and get Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson and Philip Williams is
transactional activity.
Is craziness. Where has he shown you that he will make a move like that? So the moves that he made were middle of the run, average moves that he always makes. Like everybody's talking about AQM. Well, nobody knew who AQM was before Brad signed him. I think a lot of people are overreacting to the signings he made.
Transactional activity.
And I'm not saying that it's anything to be happy about or to cheer about, or that people are that people shouldn't have more expectations. But I think that people are going too far to the left side of it. And
As free agency went along, me and you were on the same page that Brad wasn't really going to do anything big.
Transactional activity.
But going into the offseason, I was under the impression that either A, they were punting the season, or B, they were going to go all in. And for the people that believe they were going to go all in, yeah, you're right. They weren't going to trade for Max Crosby. There was some rumor out there that they were in discussions with trading for Max Crosby. The price tag for Max Crosby didn't honestly end up being that crazy. But that being said, you know, he did trade for the Zadarius Smith. And how far is a Zadarius Smith in-season trade from, let's say, a Cam Jordan free agency signing? So when you look at the Seattle Seahawks last offseason, this is only free agency. This is my free agency stat of the day. The Seattle Seahawks last offseason, obviously they won the Super Bowl. Last offseason, they brought in players who totaled 7 Pro Bowl appearances. Sam Darnold got an appearance. Cooper Kupp had an appearance in the Pro Bowl. And DeMarcus Lawrence had 5 appearances in Pro Bowls. They won the Super Bowl. Year before that, Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl. They had 2 Pro Bowl appearances in free agency, and that was both accredited to Saquon Barkley. Kansas City broke the mold. They didn't sign any players with Pro Bowl appearances, but they're freaking Kansas City, so who cares? Prior to that, Kansas City won the Super Bowl again. They brought in one Pro Bowler. The Rams, before that, they won the Super Bowl. Obviously, they got Matthew Stafford. They brought in Deshaun Jackson. And then prior to that, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they brought in a guy named Tom Brady and Gronkowski, which totaled like 14 Pro Bowl appearances. The year 2024, they brought in 2 Pro Bowlers, Zeitler and DJ Reader. Last year, 2025, they bring in 1 Pro Bowler, and that was DJ Reed. He had 1 Pro Bowl appearance prior. It was actually the year before we got him. And now we're in 2026, and as it stands, the Lions have brought in 0 Pro Bowlers. So, you know, unless Jared Goff is going to turn into the best quarterback in football like the Kansas City Chiefs, my money is not on the Detroit Lions to win the Super Bowl this year.
Transactional activity.
Well, technically, that 1 Pro Bowler is still here. DJ Reed is technically still here. If you want to call him a Pro Bowler,
that's not. No, this isn't Pro Bowl players on the team. This is the GM went out and brought in, because that's Brad Holmes' biggest weakness, right? See, basically, Brad Holmes will tell you that if you go out and you buy your house, cash money, paid off, you buy your car, cash money, paid off, you good, man. You could go out and you could just blow your money, do whatever you want, spend it on strippers, buy alcohol, put it on all the parlays in the world. It don't matter, because you have a foundation, and that's the dream that Brad Holmes has been selling Lions fans. Like, it was cool at first. It sounded good at first, but nobody ever thought that he was really going to go out there and spend it on strippers and parlays. But that's literally what he's doing now. It's all long shots and gambles. Hey, this guy, a former first-round pick by the New Orleans Saints, who didn't get picked up on his 5th-year option and missed, and then he got picked up by the Dallas Cowboys and sat the entire season on IR. That's the guy that you go out and go get. It's like, hey, he might turn into something.
transactional activity.
Well, let's get into the picks, man. Like, okay, so the first pick that he got was a center by the name of Mays, and everybody loves this pick because we needed a center. He played for the Carolina Panthers. He's fairly new at the position. He's got room to grow. He's not the best run blocker, but I think his pass protection is A1, and he can. I think they signed him to like a 3-year deal, and it's assumed that
$8 million a year.
And it's assumed that he could be the center of the future. He could grow into to be the center of the future. How do you feel about how do you feel about that pick? It's a pick that I know nobody hates.
No, it's a fantastic signing. You didn't have a center. You needed a center. You got a young center. You paying him $8 million a year. You got him under contract for the next 3 years. I have nothing. I have no problem with that signing at all. It's the best signing that Brad Holmes obviously made this offseason.
The next pick that he made is obviously on the other end of the spectrum. Whereas if everybody felt that was the best signing he could have made, everybody is livid with Brad for picking Larry Borom, a starting tackle. He was a backup starting tackle for the Miami. They ended up starting because the original starter got hurt, and he's also, which has been all through the press, also the guy that created the Hutch rules because Hutch was beating him so bad in practice that they had to tell him just to keep playing because Hutch beat him every time.
Remember when we did our expiring contracts video, and there were names on there where like we could have flipped a coin. That's how indifferent we were on whether or not those players came back. That's how I feel about all these signings. Borom, if he plays, he plays. I don't hate it. I think it's comical. I think that is comical that Hutch torched this guy in practice, and that's what they'll say. They'll say, "Well, we got to see a lot of them during our joint practices, and we really liked what we saw," and that's what they'll say. But the idea that Hutch torched them all in practice, and that's that was your impetus to sign them, it's just comical. But I don't hate it. I don't love it.
I think it's the fact that he held it down after Hutch torched him. He held it down all year long after that. When the Dolphins tackle got hurt, they put him in, and he held it down for Miami all year long. I'm not saying that he was good, but he played 16 games for Miami as a starter.
Yeah, they said this guy's got like 30-something career starts in the NFL. So he's got plenty of experience. And yeah, he, like you said, I'm telling you, they're gonna sell you on that joint practice. Like, yeah, he was getting cooked, but we just saw something that day. We liked the way he bounced back. He never backed down. Like, yeah, that's what they're gonna sell you on. But I'm with you. I think they do take a tackle. I think there's a lot of tackles, first round prospects this year in this draft. And I think they're going to grab a tackle. I hope it's a tackle that I really like. But even if those guys are off the board, there's like 3 more tackles that I don't love, but you could take them if you wanted to. But the heavy lifting is done. What grade would you give this free agency?
This free agency, I would have to give it a C+, man. I would give it because like you said, it's a middle of the run. Everybody is the middle of the pack. I'm not sure about the DBs. The DBs seem like they can make an impact, but I feel like The DBs are Amik Robinson. You know what I'm saying? I feel like these guys are Amik Robinson. I feel like the DN that we signed, the first one, Larry Wonnum, is a AQ1 replacement. Like you said, the first round pick guy is a long shot because he's only not been hurt one season since he's been in the league. So
No, he's played 3 out of 5 seasons. I mean, he's played a little, but he ends up getting hurt. But he's played about, you know, 2. We'll say 2 out of the 5, 2.5 out of 5. Half of his career he's played. The other half he's missed games.
Well, you know what I'm saying, and you know what I'm saying, I'm not mad at it as long as what scares me about that signing right there is his hesitance to pick defensive ends in the draft, and the fact that he signed a former first round pick scares me a little bit about, because I was confident that he was going to go tackle DN, and the fact that he picked up a former first round pick scares me about that him taking a DN in the second round. So hopefully, you want me to get mad at Brad and be on that side. If Brad doesn't get a DN in the first or second round, I'm there with y'all. I'm there because the writer's been on the wall for years, and at this point, if you don't get one, you're just being stubborn about it. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to prove a point. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to prove something to somebody. Like I don't gotta listen to what y'all gotta say. So that makes me a little nervous, but there's no way he doesn't go out and sign a DN, right? The other DN, Larry Wonnum, like I said, I mean DJ Wonnum is just a replacement for AQM. So all these guys are middle of the pack people, man. I feel like the guy from the Cardinals, the receiver, I feel like that was a good signing. So everybody's middle of the pack except for the Mays and the receiver, and I think that's where I get the plus side of my seat from. If you had to grade it, what would you grade it?
If you graded a C, I gotta give it a D. And then if I look at it from that perspective, the K Mays signing is really the only thing that salvages the free agency. Like, that's the thing though. This Wonnum guy, if the season started today, that's your edge opposite of Aiden. Safety again, like they brought in this guy who kind of plays corner, he kind of plays nickel, but he kind of plays safety. But that's really it. You didn't bring anybody safety, so we're gonna roll with Kirby Joseph. I keep on bringing up this 7th round pick from last year that they really did like. This Dan Jackson guy, I'm sure he's gonna get some play from Georgia. But you didn't really address that. Linebackers, Damone Clark, but like at this current depth chart, Rodrigo is gonna be a starter. And Rodrigo's never really been a starter. You brought him back on 1 year. That's how much you love this guy. Is you brought him back on another 1 year deal. So this depth chart has so many holes and flaws in it. Like a team that came into, like a regime that came into the NFL preaching on the validity and value of depth has no depth right now. They brought in, they did bring in a tight end that I like. They brought in a wide receiver that I like, which again, that's Brad Holmes is great at 2 things: finding offense and finding offense in the draft. I can't even say the draft period because Brad Holmes is not good with defense. And we talked about bringing back Kelvin Shepherd, and there was never much talk out of Allen Park in terms of moving on from Kelvin Shepherd or bringing in anybody to assist Kelvin Shepherd. That was all a media and fan-driven narrative. But I never heard the Lions say anything about that. And now that I see what this defense looks like, it makes perfect sense to me because no defensive coordinator worth a damn would go into the season with this roster. But I looked it up, man, and real quick, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, they're signed under contract this season and next season, and I feel pretty comfortable in saying, and I think all Lions fans should really start thinking about the idea that these next 2 years, this is the last time you're gonna see Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, and Jared Goff all under one regime.
Yeah, yeah, it's trending that way. And let's say, like I said, Brad Holmes has got to knock this draft out the fire.
Let me ask you real quick. We got into it once upon a time, and you said, "Well, Brad, this was years ago," but you said Brad is not. It's not. That's not what you said. What you said was that Brad wants to win a Super Bowl, but he really wants to make it so that this team is capable of winning multiple Super Bowls.
Right.
Do you think that Brad still believes that this team is capable of winning multiple Super Bowls?
Not this team. I think that the team that he was drafting, all the gambles that he was making, the developmental players that didn't pan out, the guys that he drafted that got injured and never recovered. I think he believed that team was capable of winning multiple Super Bowls, but his gambles have not panned out. His gambles have not have not paid off. You know what I'm saying? A couple of them did, but the majority of the ones that was just a long shot where they're like, where people are like, what was the point of him drafting this guy, or what was the point of him signing this guy? The Emmanuel Mosleys, the Broderick Martins, the Swordsdales, the Manuels. And Manu, we don't know if Manu will work out or not, but these guys, the CJ not working out. You signed Carlton Davis, but you didn't bring him back. I think he believed that all those gambles and all those picks could win the Super Bowl. Kirby Joseph having the best safety tandem in the league. I believe he felt like that defense could win you multiple Super Bowls. He had Alexander Zaloni in place, but I guess their plan was to replace him, and he just figured he would just replace him, and he would just have, he would just keep the ball rolling. But people have been injured. We've been the most injured team in the NFL for the last 3 years. So with those injuries and with those setbacks, I believe with those teams, he felt like, he could sustain and win multiple Super Bowls. But the opposite happened. All these things have not panned out for you. The people never recovered. The projects are not developing right. You lost coaches along the way. You know what I'm saying? You didn't replace them well. So this team now, no. I don't believe that he believes this team now can win multiple Super Bowls. Do I think that Brad Holmes is arrogant enough to believe that he can still do it? Yeah. I believe he feels that way. I believe he feels like he can just snap his finger and it's all going to work out. But I feel like he needs some urgency to it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's approaching it like he's got all the time in the world.
Yeah, man. I really like that answer. And I agree with like 90% of what you said. The one part where we differ at is the part where you said, do you believe is Brad arrogant enough that he believes that he can snap his fingers and make it all work out and with all that stuff? And I gotta say, just listening to you break it all down, I think that's where I'm at, man. I don't think that I mean, obviously he's not gonna quit, he's not gonna give up, but it feels like to me that everything you outlined, Brad Holmes was on top of the world. Like you said, I got the best safety tandem in football. I got Jahmyr Gibbs and J-Mo on the same side of the ball. I got a top 5 wide receiver in the league. I got one of the best edges in football.
Right.
And just, I mean, they're all still there, but you took for granted the offensive line you had. And you took for granted the health of the safeties, and you just thought that, hey, anybody could play corner. Basically, not anybody, but you didn't put a premium on corner. You didn't put a premium on a lot of defensive players, and it didn't all disappear. But at the snap of at the snap of fingers, after a season or two, half of it disappeared. And at a rapid rate that you did not expect. It happened so fast. Frank Ragnow, boom, that was the start of it all. Frank Ragnow gone. Now Taylor Decker gone. David Montgomery gone. Kirby Joseph out. Brian Branch out. It just happened so fast that, to me, Brad Holmes is like, he's in shock. He's in shock. If I had to sum up that press conference at the end of the year, it would be he was in shock. Like, and everybody was on his head. Sheila was on his head. Dan was on his head. And it's like, we got to figure this out. But all these contracts he's done, all these signings, he's painted himself into a corner. And my thing, if you put all that capital into drafting Manu's not a good example because you do need a tackle, and Manu was supposed to be a tackle. But all right, you put all that capital into Manu. Obviously, you put capital into wide receiver, but it's like once you put so much capital into a position, in my mind, you're not allowed to draft that position anymore because you haven't shown a propensity to be able to do it. At that point, you got to go to free agency and you got to go get it. So at this point, I'm kind of straight on him drafting cornerbacks. He hasn't drafted that many cornerbacks, but still, the point remains. Defensive linemen. He's drafted quite a few defensive linemen. He's probably been 2 out of 7. It hasn't been good. I don't want you drafting defensive linemen really anymore, unless it's a first. Well, I can't even say first round pick because Tyleik Williams was a first round pick. So it's I get it. You gotta draft players. I get it. You do gotta draft players, but at that point, man, it's you gotta stop. I can't have you out here just using picks and taking shots at the same position and missing. So he's painted himself into such a tight corner. I don't know how he gets out. And if I had to look at it and be like, why does this offseason free agency suck? Because he don't know what to do. And
Detroit